Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Ask Meditation. This is Michael Robbins, and we're going to meditate together on attracting money for hierarchical purposes. And um, it's very important when you think about the greed that is rampant in the world and how hierarchy has the ability, when it begins to emerge, to solve or help us solve anyway so many of the problems which are plaguing humanity. There will have to be that period during which hierarchy itself, in an externalized form, prepares for the reappearance of the Christ. It cannot be immediate because the masters have to appear in each one of the planetary centers, whichever master it may be, and be surrounded by some of their initiates and some of their disciples. And they have to be noticed and judged to be a source of wise and useful advice and inspiration. And when that kind of preparation is concluded, or at least has reached a certain degree of intensity, then on a wave of great expectation, the Christ can reappear, and it will signal, amazingly, that that portion of humanity which could take the first initiation and leaven the entire mass consciousness, raise it, will have done so. So we certainly have our work cut out for us in this incarnation and the next. We'll see how long this hierarchical preparation really takes. I just want to say a couple of things. You're familiar with the ideas, but it bears repeating. We should consider what we have saved during the week, or what we have set aside in our mind to donate, offer to the Christ, so that his work can advance. Even he, it is said, has need of the financial resources. That's amazing, but that's how he has to reach the human beings. That's how he has to do it. The Tibetan says to us, from Externalization of the Hierarchy, page 558, I beg you to shoulder the responsibility of distributing the great invocation on as large a scale as possible, and in every country. It is of great potency, and when used by men of all faiths, can aid in the process of averting war. So maybe we're still not out of the woods when it comes to the possibility of world war on the physical plane. Let us hope so. Let us hope that we soon emerge into safer waters, but it will require that the needs of many kinds of human people, of course human beings, be met. And there are so many people, as we see, look at these hurricanes and how they're hitting in the South Pacific there, in the Philippines, some of the most vulnerable people who cannot protect themselves from the storm. We need to spend money in such a way that everybody has a chance. He wants us also to distribute the problems of humanity. It has been upgraded by the Lucis Trust to take in some of the problems that have emerged since the writing of the book, and especially, I would say, the environmental problem. In a seventh-ray age, the environment is always under consideration, and we see how we are helping, the deterioration. I wouldn't call it helping exactly. We are contributing through our negligence to the deterioration of the environment, and after all, it is the planet on which we live. So we need to deal with humanity's problems in our exoteric work, but also we're esoterically focused on them, and our esoteric attention does count for something. It can be strong enough to really count for something in the correction of these very serious errors that humanity is still selfishly making. He is telling us, our work here is going to require sacrifice. It's calling for the expenditure of money, and even the hierarchy works through normal channels and needs money, and even the Christ has need of financial resources in order to reach the needy sons of men. I ask your aid, and I await your decision. And it's not easy, He says it's perhaps the major difficulty to ask for money for higher spiritual things, and it appears at times to be an insuperable difficulty. It involves, he tells us, and let us think carefully, the true problem of true financial trusteeship and the deflection of adequate sums of money into channels which will definitely aid the work of preparation for the return of the Christ. And it's closely tied up with the whole problem of right human relations. We know that's the theme that is issuing from Shambhala at this time. Right human relations. It's the next on the agenda, and in order for the hierarchy to make its appearance in the right way and be attended to in the right way, we have to improve our immediate human relations and our community and national and international human relations. So we have this meditation, which he says, you're going to regard, many of you, as very simple and maybe not even useful. But, and this is his point, used by many simultaneously, it may shatter the impasse which at present prevents adequate funds pouring into the work which the hierarchy seeks to accomplish. So, we do the meditation every Sunday morning when we can. In the United States, it's probably Sunday morning for some of you, but here in Europe, it's the evening, and already it's early in the morning in Australia, New Zealand. We cannot, when we have a group meditation of this kind, it can't be Sunday morning for everybody, obviously. So money is spent differently these days. It's not so much cash, it's often credit cards. It's done in a different way of transferring, but take what we have intended to give and what we have reserved in our mind and dedicated to the work and present it in meditation to the Christ through the agencies which try to carry out his work. Whether the sum is large or small, it can become a magnetic, attractive unit in the Master's work. Okay, friends, well, it's such a problem, the third aspect of divinity and linking it to love and linking it to purpose. You know how it is at the moment. Greed is rampant in the world, and people don't realize that the fulfillment of their exaggerated financial dreams is robbing many people of the necessities. I'm remembering that Eisenhower, and would you expect it? He was a great general. He talked about the industrial military complex and what they were doing, and their productions were, their weaponry, it was a theft from the people in the world who needed the resources. When you think about the tremendous amounts of money that are being spent, I just saw this airplane, amazing airplane, 1,500 miles an hour, but every airplane costs $446 million. You know what could be done in terms of human welfare with $446 million, and that's just one plane. So our sense of values is somehow corrupted, and we're filled with fear, and we don't understand the immortality of the human soul and the nature of true being, which is where we esotericists come into the picture. We have to find a way to help people understand a deeper relation to life cyclically pursued. People have that consciousness, as St. Paul was saying in a mocking way, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you die. It was a sarcastic kind of statement. And if we realize that we're coming back and back and back with cyclic regularity, even enlightened self-interest will help us build for the future. So let's try to think of ways in which this flowing golden substance can in fact be rightly directed, because our motivation is love and wisdom and the upliftment of humanity in order to fulfill the divine purpose for humanity. It can be done, it will be done, and when people of our type get into it and give whatever we can to the process, we will definitely help. Okay, friends, let's just align together as a little group, and all over the world today, of course, different people are in various group formations, and even if they're alone, they're with a group, really. They're doing this meditation because they know that we have to build and create that which uplifts the human race and doesn't tear it down. So we'll enter with some soul consciousness coming into the mind, that light, and even making its way to the brain, illumining the brain, soul, mind, brain alignment. And we'll realize the occult law that to those who give shall be given, so that they can give again. Let's think about that. We establish the pattern of giving, and you know the old saying, nature abhors a vacuum. So the more we give and the closer we come to running on empty, the more the supply is replenished. If we could but trust. So after achieving this positive and intended personality quietness, we're going to answer these questions to ourselves and try to really be the soul in incarnation and really see what our attitude is and what the world is doing with the supply of money. If money is one of the most important things needed today for spiritual work, what is the factor which is at present deflecting it away from the work of the hierarchy? I'm sure we have many answers for that, but humanity as a whole doesn't believe in the reality of the subjective life. I mean, many believe in a kind of heaven after you die, but that's not the ongoing subjective life which is coexistent with our outer experience. What is my personal attitude towards money. And do I regard it as a great and possible spiritual asset, or do I think of it in material terms? What is my personal responsibility in regard to money which passes through my hands? Am I handling it as a disciple of the Masters should handle it? We can link the labors of Hercules with this problem because we well know that one of the physical heads of the Hydra, which is our unredeemed self, is the head of money. And it's a gigantic glamour. All the thoughts around money and the feelings and emotions around money and all of humanity, more or less, is under this great glamour. So let's study ourselves honestly and clearly and see to what extent, if any, this great glamour about the nature of money holds power over us. Think of some of the weaknesses involved in the human response when money is the subject of consideration. And if there's any hold of these glamorous desires and thought forms over you, over me, over whomever, how can we overcome that power? Let us ponder on the redemption of humanity through the right use of money. Many factors will be necessary to help redeem humanity, but the right use of money is one of them. We visualize money in the world today as concretized energy, at present largely used for purely material purposes and for the satisfaction, where the individual is concerned, of purely personal desires. But we can also visualize money as a great stream of flowing golden substance, passing out of the control of the forces of materialism and into the control of the forces of light. Then we say the following invocative prayer. O Thou, in whom we live and move and have our being, the power that can make all things new, turn to spiritual purposes the money in the world. Touch the hearts of men everywhere, so that they can give to the work of hierarchy that which has hitherto been given to material satisfaction. The new group of world servers needs money in large quantities. I ask that the needed vast sums may be made available. May this potent energy of thine be in the hands of the forces of light. Then visualize the work to be done by those groups which claim your present allegiance, any group which you know is attempting to carry out the hierarchical plan. And through the creative imagination, and by an act of the will, see untold and unlimited sums of money pouring into the hands of those who seek to do the Master's work. Then we say aloud and with conviction, He for whom the whole world waits has said that whatsoever shall be asked in His name, and with faith in the response, will see it accomplished. And we must remember at the same time that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And then we direct our request and we ask for the needed money for whatever group or process it may be. I ask the needed money for, and you fill in the object of your request. I ask the needed money for. And I can demand it because from the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. And then in our creative imagination we prepare to give our offering, whatever we have saved, can save, to the great process of the externalization of the hierarchy and the reappearance of the great Lord, the Christ, the coming one. We are as if gathered together at the feet of the avatar of love. And we know that the coming of the hierarchy and the Christ is necessary now, really necessary, for the salvation of humanity and even many of the kingdoms of nature and the planet. Things are that serious. and then with true conviction and love and realization of the vitally important process now underway, we think of the Lord Maitreya We know He is on the planet. He is here. And we say, we have gathered in your name, Lord Maitreya. Be with us. And we offer him in our living imagination that quantity of flowing golden substance which can be used to prepare men's minds and hearts for his coming forth. And we close with a careful consideration of our own responsibility to the plan, that part of the plan in which we can participate and how to support it. And when we are planning our weekly financial cooperation with the hierarchy, we have to be practical. We have to be realistic and to know that if we do not give, we may not ask, for we have no right to evoke that which we do not share. So we think about our weekly cooperation and how we can really support the precipitation, the manifestation of that tiny portion of the divine plan which it may be given to us to assist. And we attempt to feel true love sweeping through us, and we have the fixed intention to express that love to everyone we contact, because it is the great, attractive, and selfless agent in world affairs. We have to link, the third aspect with the second, the material creative power with love, and eventually with the first aspect as well, directed will. So we try to keep track during the week of how we spend our money, and keep in mind that every expenditure can be thought of in terms of the divine plan, or maybe not. So let us be discriminating in that regard. And we will sound the Om then 3 times, and seeing ourselves give the needed resources to the chosen groups or organizations who are doing the work for the hierarchy and the ageless wisdom, the hierarchy and his great leader, its great leader, the Christ. 3 times the Om. Thank you, friends, for being here. Remember, we'll be back with you on Wednesday. It'll be the morning schedule. And before long, I'll be joining Tuya up in the Little Bear Meditation Center. Right now, I'm down here in the Temple of Silence, and she will probably resume directing the Ask programs. I might say with music. We didn't quite find a way to work that out. But we'll be with you, and then we have the equinox coming up, and also the full moon. The Libran energies of right human relations will be with us, and we will utilize that. One of the great signs connected with the Christ is Libra, both Libra and Pisces. He is the Prince of Peace, and he is the great Savior. Let's keep our triangles going. The work must go on. You can help us with the Blue Rose Sisterhood if you want to gather the Christ consciousness in the chalice of your being. The chalice, the highest head center in one way, and also the egoic lotus or causal body. You can study with us at the Moria Federation and go deeply into the ageless wisdom which humanity so sorely needs. All this under the auspices of the University of the Seven Rays, teaching people about the new psychology of the Seven Rays and the new esoteric astrology especially. Our music, Heralds in Mind, is available to you, and in various ways on Makara, and also increasingly on the YouTube website Moria Federation Esoteric Education. And I try to always play, if I can, our meditation, solar fire meditation, during the period of the full moon. If I'm not traveling, I'll do my best. So, lots of love, many blessings. Let's just, as they say in the Arcane School, keep on keeping on. It was one of Alice Bailey's sayings, you know. And we must persist. There's not so many of us, but together we have some degree of inner power, and we can help make things better. Okay, we'll be seeing you. Remember Francis tonight. Um, he does this wonderful secret doctrine series every month, and everyone can learn a lot. So that webinar, you should have received notification of it, and you can write Joe Waltz or B.L. Allison. I won't be available this evening to receive email, but hopefully you have the address. Okay, many blessings, and we'll talk to you before long. Bye-bye.